Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're already subscribed. My name is Josh and I do a lot of content on kind of IT and cybersecurity and a lot of general career advice and that type of stuff. So yeah, welcome to my channel. This video is going to be about the computer science degree at WGU. Several months ago, I kind of made this video talking about how I was gonna plan and like pregame myself to get ready to do that degree, and like a lot of stuff kind of happened since then that I didn't really anticipate, like moving and like a bunch of other like crazy stuff I might talk about in another video. But anyway, eventually I ended up graduating with my degree in computer science. So I thought it was time to kind of make a series of videos about that. So this is going to be one of the videos. In this video, I'm just going to kind of cover like some of the classes like really high level, and then talk about the main point of this video is to kind of talk about how you can accelerate through this degree. I kind of made like a strategy that you can follow to kind of complete the degree as quickly as possible. And I just want to say, like, I know a lot of people are scared of the math that goes into computer science because we have like calculus, and to even do calculus, you have to do like pre-calc and trig and like all that stuff. And then we have discrete math 2, which is like notoriously like pretty hard at WGU. But I don't need to worry about those things. I'm going to make another video completely dedicated on how to tackle calculus, and just trust me when I say it's like really manageable, and I'm going to like totally break it down just in another video. So don't let that scare you away. So basically the strategy is going to be broken up into 3 parts that you need to kind of complete to eventually graduate with your degree in computer science. The first part is going to be called the pregame transfer section, which is, I'll go over this in depth, but basically it's completing courses outside of WGU and transferring them in to satisfy courses inside WGU. And the second phase is called the pregame study phase, which is where the courses you have left after transferring everything in, you kind of study those up on your own, maybe in like the first 2 months before you actually register for WGU. And then the last phase is when you actually register at WGU and you start banging out the classes within WGU for the actual degree. And so just to set some kind of expectation of how long this might take for different people, like once I actually registered at WGU and after I transferred everything in and after I pregame studied, after I registered in phase 3, like phase 3 took me 2 months to complete. So when I registered at WGU and I started classes on July 1st, and then I graduated by September 1st. So I completed the WGU course material in 2 months, and then I graduated with my bachelor's in computer science just this last September 1st. So for expectations, I would expect like maybe someone who's like brand new to like everything. If they go through like the first 2 phases, like the pregame transfer, and then completing phase 2, which is kind of doing the pregame study. So for like someone who's brand new to tech, I think once they're in phase 3, they can probably complete phase 3 in less than 12 months. So that's, however long the first 2 phases take for them. And then the third phase, they can probably finish their bachelor's in less than 12 months. And then somebody who's like kind of already in tech, like maybe you work in IT or something, or maybe you do some coding like a little bit already, that kind of person, third phase should probably take them less than 6 months for sure. With this method. So less than 6 months for their comp sci degree, assuming they do the first 2 phases. So I would say, like, even if you're remotely interested in computer science, you're like kind of on the fence about it, I would definitely watch this video, put it on 1.5x or like 2x speed and just watch it to the end, because at the very least, I'm really confident you'll get something pretty useful out of it, and then you'll have a kind of better idea of how you can tackle the WGU computer science degree, or, technically any degree from WGU. So yeah, let's get started. So before we get really started, I just want to give a brief overview of what WGU is, in case you haven't seen any of my videos or you just don't know. Basically, it's an online accredited college. It's accredited with Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities. It's the same accrediting body that a lot of state colleges use in the United States. So it's online accredited college, and it's self-paced. So basically how it works is you pay for 6 months at a time, and you pay, I believe it's about $3,500 you pay for 6 months. And then within that 6 months, you're allowed to complete like as many courses as you can. So in theory, right, if you registered and paid for 6 months and you just did your whole degree in 6 months, you would have a bachelor's or a master's or whatever degree you're doing within that 6 months time period. And you would only pay for, one term or 1 6 months period. So basically you pay for time and you do as many courses as you can, and then you graduate, potentially saving like a lot of money. For the most part, there's kind of two ways to pass a class in WGU. There's no real there's homework, but it's not part of your grade. So there's a lot of like course material and curriculum as you would normally see, but to pass classes you either have to pass an exam called an objective assessment. It's just like a normal paper test or a proctored test. Well, it's on the computer, but it's a proctored test. Someone watches you take it and you just do it. And when you pass that test, then you pass a class. And then the other way to pass a class is you either have to write some kind of paper or you have to build some kind of program or project. And then you turn that in, and then someone like goes through it and evaluates it. And that takes like a couple days to grade usually. But either pass a test or you turn in some kind of assignment, paper, or program, and you pass the class. So that's pretty much how WG works in a nutshell. So getting on to the actual strategy. So the first phase of the strategy again is the transfer phase, or the pregame transfer phase. So what you'll do in this phase is if you have existing college, you will want to transfer that into WGU. If you don't have existing college, that's okay too. But if you have existing credits, you're going to have to contact the enrollment counselor. So just email or call WGU and say, I'm interested in enrolling in the computer science program. And then they'll ask you, do you have any existing college? And you tell them yes. And then you transfer, you'll end up like sending your transcript to WGU, and then they're going to evaluate it for you. And then after they evaluate it, they'll kind of tell you what classes you have left to complete. They'll send you back a little document that looks something like this. This is mine. I'll put a link in the description so you can kind of look through this on your own time. But basically, they'll send you back a list of classes that you need to complete to get your degree. And then once you have that, you'll kind of know the next step. So this is a continuation of the first phase, the pregame transfer phase. So once you have that, what I would recommend is, the cool thing about WGU is you can transfer in like a lot of courses. There's some courses you have to complete at WGU, but there's a lot of courses you can transfer in from these kind of you can transfer them in, of course, from like normal, brick and mortar schools, but you can also transfer courses in from study.com and straighterline.com, sophia.org, and then other certs if they're applicable. So basically what this kind of spreadsheet is, it shows all the courses that you can transfer in from these organizations or these websites. You complete courses here, and then you send the transcript to WGU, and it kind of satisfies all these requirements here. So like in theory, you can go through these in and transfer as many of them in as you want, and then you'll have so many of these credits from your degree knocked out already. I kind of colored this general calculus 1 here in red because I'm going to make a whole video that kind of deals with this and kind of teaches you how to really conquer this course in a really manageable way. So don't worry about it too much. This course in Discrete Math 2 is generally regarded as like some of the hardest courses in this whole program, but I'm going to kind of show you how to deal with this one in another video, so don't worry too much about that. So as far as you might be wondering how long these individual courses take. So for me, I'm going to switch to this is how it looked for me, when I registered and I was about to start doing classes. These ones right here, I transferred all these in from all my other degrees and my certs and whatever else. And then after that, I picked these things. These two are from straighterline.com and these two are from study.com. This scripting and programming languages course, this took me less than a week. It was 4 days. This discrete math one, this took about 6 days or something. And this data structures and algorithms one took about a week or 6 days or something. Calculus took me a while. It took probably 2 months to do. Depending on how much math you need, it might take you longer. It might take you shorter. I'm going to show you how to do it as fast as possible. So either way, it's not going to be too hard. So if you're wondering, switching back to the kind of general transfers document, if you're wondering how long each one of these takes, depending on what it is, if it looks like it's something easy, for example, this introduction to religion to satisfy the humanities course, you can probably assume that's going to take, a week or something if you really sit down and go through it. So I would say all these kind of easy-ish ones, probably a week or less. Calculus, because there's a lot of pre-study for this, it might take longer. Biology, maybe it will take you 2 weeks or something. It just depends. I don't know because I didn't complete a lot of these, but based on my experience, a lot of the technological ones take me about a week or less to do. So basically, phase 1, the pregame transfer, is basically just identifying which courses you have to do in WGU, and then picking courses from straighterline.com and study.com and doing those and then transferring them into WGU. And these things cost money. Straighterline costs money and study.com costs money. Forget how much exactly it is. I think study.com might have been $200 or something. per month. And then Straighterline, I think it was like $100 per month and like $60 per the course or something like this. I can't remember. But the idea is it's way cheaper than WGU, and there's kind of a less of a commitment and burden on it, if that makes sense, because you pay like month by month for like study.com, and it's only $200, and then you can just like do as many courses as you want. Whereas WGU, there's like a little bit of more like commitment and emotional burden on it. It's not too bad, but you pay for like a term at a time at WGU, and it's like $3,500. So basically, like the idea is to kind of do as much as you can from study.com here in Sophia and these kind of third-party transfer education websites. It reduces like the emotional burden, like the upfront cost burden, and it kind of lets you like knock out as many classes as you can. That's pretty much all there is to phase one, the pregame transfer phase. Just evaluate your transcript, knock out as many of these like straighter line courses as you can, and then work with your enrollment counselor and just transfer them into your degree. And then they'll give you another transcript evaluation with all your kind of transferred credits in it. And then this thing that you have, you're going to use this for the second phase, the pregame study phase. So once you get that, you'll see like what you have left to complete once you register with WGU. And so looking at this is an example one. Yours might look, slightly different than this. There's some strategies that you can do to kind of pregame, like kind of study these topics. So once you actually get into WGU, you can just kind of work through them really quickly. That's what I did. I pregame studied these things kind of the best I could. Not the best I could, but pretty adequately, I would say. Because once I had 11 classes. Again, this is what my thing looked like. I had to complete these classes once I finally registered, and I kind of pregame studied at least half of these pretty well. And then I was able to graduate with BS in Comp Sci in 2 months just because I studied them like beforehand. So basically, you'll probably have to do some combination of these courses. Like I didn't have ethics and technology, and I don't think I had this, but I had some other things. But anyway, these are kind of the core computer science classes that you'll run into at WGU. So in the Comp Sci program. So what I would recommend, like I'll give you kind of a brief description of like what these classes is and how to do pregame study for them. So Software 1 and Software 2, these are basically Java desktop applications that you'll develop. I'll kind of go into these in another video, like more in depth as much as I can without getting banned from WGU. But these are Java and their desktop applications. So I would recommend personally, there's a lot of like free Java videos, I guess, on YouTube, but I personally use Code with Mosh. I'll kind of show you what it looks like here. Whenever I need to like learn a new programming language, or I need to learn SQL or something, or like refresh data structures and algorithms in my brain, I always use like Code with Mosh, because like his thing is paid, but it's like so well organized and so like, it's nicely packaged, and it's just like super high quality. And I tend to like really prioritize time over money. And this just happens to be the best learning resource I've found for programming in general and that type of thing. So you can use kind of whatever you want. I think it's called Traversy Media. Yeah, his is pretty good. He has a lot of good stuff. I don't know if he has Java, but I would recommend Code with Mosh for Software 1 and Software 2. I'll put like affiliate links in the description, but he has like a full Java course on that. So if you haven't done programming, you haven't done Java, I would highly recommend going through that whole like his like tutorial. He gives a lot of real world nuance, and it works pretty well. Ethics and technology, this seems really easy, so I wouldn't even pregame for it. It's probably just one of those classes. Web development foundations, this is based on HTML and CSS. I transferred this in on mine, so I didn't have to do it. But again, I would recommend Code with Mosh. There's bunch of HTML for free on YouTube, but if you just want to like get something good, just get Code with Mosh. Data management foundations, this class I did have to do. This one it's like really heavy in SQL, like MySQL in particular. And the exam it's kind of a mixture between like a practical exam and some kind of like test. You had to go into this virtual environment and like do all these actual commands in SQL. It's really good class. I was quite impressed with it. So, just learn SQL, I guess. Again, I'd recommend Code with Mosh. I didn't use Code with Mosh for SQL because I already had like a decent foundation for it. But software engineering course in WGU, ironically, there's no actual, I shouldn't say ironically, but there's no actual like coding in this course. It's kind of like you're developing like a CRM app, and you have to do kind of all the other components that don't require coding, like picking like what is it called? Like waterfall or agile, like a development methodology, and you have to do all this kind of other stuff. So you don't really have to pregame for this one. I felt this course was like pretty easy, so you can just kind of, just forego pre-gaming this one. Software quality assurance, you'll probably do this inside WGU. It is what it is. Software quality assurance. I would say the test is quite hard. I almost failed this class actually, but I really like blazed through it really quickly. Luckily, the recommended kind of pre-game / study thing for this, like WGU made it public. It's just on the public internet, and you can just use this thing and click it, right? Quiz sale, and what one was it? It was C857. So you just start this, and just do your best and kind of work through it. I would, as you're doing these questions, if it's possible and easy for you to do, like kind of like look up what these different things are if you don't know, so you can kind of get a better understanding for like what you're reading, right? Don't just memorize the answers because it's not going to really do anything for you. But basically pre-game for this right here. Discrete math 2, for me, either this or calculus was the hardest one. I can't really decide which one is harder, but discrete math, as far as these courses, like inside of actual WGU, definitely discrete math 2 is the absolute hardest for me. It took me 3 weeks to finish, as opposed to everything else taking like one week or less. So this is hard. I don't know if I'd even recommend pre-gaming it, to be honest. If you really want to, you can kind of watch some of Trev Tutor's videos. Like if you have time left over after studying everything else, you can watch his videos, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'm going to make a whole video on like how to like really tackle discrete math 2. It's quite hard, but it's 100% doable. I'm really average at math, and I did it in 3 weeks. So there's that. And there's this class, data structures and algorithms 2. This is probably the second hardest class in WGU, at least like once you're actually doing the classes in WGU. This is probably the hardest one, to be honest. I'm going to make another video that's dedicated to like learning how to tackle data structures and algorithms 2. Basically, for the class, you have to do, it's a kind of a version of the not nearest neighbor, but the traveling salesman problem. Basically, there's a bunch of nodes you have to visit, and you have to figure out like not the most optimal, but an okay way to like visit all the nodes or visit all the cities as you deliver your packages or whatever. I'll really explain this like in depth, but to pregame for it, what I would recommend, I would learn, it's in Python, but Python is like the least of your concerns for this class. So I would definitely use Code with Mosh or anyone else, to learn Python. You don't have to learn it in super in depth, but you have to, at least be able to like use it like a little bit, right? So learn Python. I would also learn data structures and algorithms in general. Specifically how hash maps work and how maps work, like graphs and maps. So I would recommend, again, Code with Mosh for Python, and you can use his Python for another assignment, which I'm about to get into. And then he has a data structures and algorithms course, which I bought both of those. I bought Python and I bought data structures and algorithms because it just ended up being like really helpful and it was easy for me to understand. And there's a lot of time and space complexity and like big O notation that goes into this project. So you have to be like really like, you have to understand those things like pretty well. So this pregame is going to be, the pregame is not going to be hard. It's going to be a little time consuming. Just go ahead and go through the Python course and then go through the data structures and algorithms here. I'll link both of these in the description, or you can just use this link here. So that would be enough pregame for this. And then you can just deal with the actual course once you get registered. And again, I didn't make it yet, but check out the video that I'm about to make for this one, data structures and algorithms 2. And then the last course is the computer science capstone. Ironically, this, in my opinion, is like one of the more easy courses. Even though it's like the capstone, it's supposed to be like big and like, hard, but it's actually like quite easy. Basically, in a nutshell, I'm not disclosing anything that's not already on the internet, like all over Reddit anyway, but basically you have to kind of build a proposal and like implement a solution using AI and machine learning that solves some kind of business problem. So you can have like a made up company or business in your head, and then you can make up a problem, and then you make up a solution that uses artificial intelligence and machine learning. So before this project, I never actually used AI ML. It's like kind of always been on the back burner for me to learn, but I never really got into it. But for this course, to be honest, again, I used Code with Mosh Python. At the very end of the Python course, he has like a module on AI and ML, and I used that module in its entirety, like only that, to do this project. It was so easy for me. I'll make a video about it. I'm not going to, of course, disclose a bunch of stuff, right? But I'll kind of give a high level overview of what I did. But in a nutshell, I would recommend Code with Mosh, Python. His Python course, the end of the course is a AI ML, like a machine learning, goes over a lot of the popular machine learning libraries and like how to do stuff. And then I think I used one other video for my data visualization. Again, I'll like talk about all that. I'll put links in the description. But that's pretty much how to deal with phase 2. So phase 2, the pregame study. Basically, all the classes you have left once you transfer into WGU, you study these until you're comfortable. And then the last phase is basically just, you talk with your enrollment counselor, you'd be like, okay, I'm ready to actually register and start courses. And then that kind of signifies the end of the second phase, the pregame study phase. And for the third phase, this is where you're actually doing the courses. You're registered and then you're actually working on these courses here that you have to complete to graduate. So basically the way I tackled these, I'll kind of put links in the description that kind of show the different strategies for the different courses. And I'll make videos for some of these, like especially the math ones, right? And DS and data structures and algos. But basically like what I did for these is I just would so for example, I would copy like C482 for software one, and I would say like C482 site reddit.com, and I would just kind of look at the people who passed it quickly and kind of see what they did, and I would kind of steal strategies from these people. They give like a lot of good advice on how to tackle certain courses and like strategies to use, or like give you ideas for different YouTube videos to watch, and it really like helped me accelerate. That's how I could take this phase 3 and just finish it in 2 months. I was just like bang, and it was like done, because I like kind of highly optimized the way I studied and the way I went about tackling these different courses. So I'm not going to say like too much about this phase. Just use Reddit a lot to figure out strategies on how to pass the courses. And then I used every course in WGU has course instructors, and a lot of them are like really smart. They're all like the ones that I worked with are all like PhDs, and they had like degrees in like math and like comp sci and things like this. And they're pretty smart, especially in the scope of the course that they're responsible for. So especially for discrete math 2, like take advantage of your course instructor. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I'll make a video specifically for discrete math 2, but really take advantage of them if you feel like you're having a hard time. But there's like more than enough resources like in the course material, and then Reddit, and then your course instructors. If you get really organized and try to attack things efficiently, like definitely you're gonna finish your degree faster than you would have normally expected, and definitely faster than at a brick and mortar school. So that's pretty much all. Just a summary to summarize things really fast. Step 1, if you have credits outside, transfer them in, talk to your enrollment counselor. They'll give you a list of classes that you need to do. Take that list and then go to stata.com, sophia.org, straighterline.com, and then pick the courses you want to do from there, complete those, transfer them in, and that's the end of phase 1. The next phase, you take the stuff that you have to complete at WGU and you kind of pre-study those things as much as you want, as much as you feel comfortable with. That's the end of phase 2. Phase 3, you register and use Reddit, use your course mentors, use your mentor, the course instructors, I guess, and then just do whatever you can to like kind of complete, like learn as much as you can and complete those classes, and you'll be done with your degree in no time. So as far as like how much it costs and everything, per term it's $3,500. So it's possible, like not counting the sophia.org and the straighter line things, like it's possible, to get a comp sci degree for $3,500, which is what I did. I think I probably spent like, I had to buy like 2 calculators, like this one's for discrete math 2, this one's for calculus. I'll talk about these in depth later, but like between the calculators and between like all those like third-party things, I think my comp sci degree cost like $4,000 for like the whole degree. I only went for 1 term, right? So $3,500, money for the calculators, money for study.com. The whole thing was probably like $4,000. So if you can complete, in 1 term, that's $3,500 for a comp sci degree. 2 terms, still like $7,000 for like a comp sci degree. It's pretty good, I would say. I'll make another video probably talking like more in depth about like the rigors of the program and like kind of like rate how good the program is. But right now I'll say it's definitely pretty good. It's enough to work, as a software engineer and get a job like in tech or in IT anywhere. Depending on where you apply, you might have to supplement it with like LeetCode or Algo Expert or something like this. But for the most part, it's a pretty solid program, I would say. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had for this video. If you enjoyed the content or you want to see more, just, of course, feel free to like and subscribe. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this far. Look forward to the next videos. I'm going to have a whole bunch of videos about the computer science degree at WGU. I'll kind of do one like reviewing it, and I'll have one for like each of the kind of difficult classes. I'll have one for like all the software, like kind of projects I made for the program. And then I'll have one that goes over like my final project in depth. So look forward to those. I'll kind of make a playlist out of them. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.